This video is powered by K.R. Mangalam University. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth arrived on Capitol Hill to meet lawmakers pushing for increased defense funding as military costs tied to ongoing operations, including the Iran conflict, continue to rise. Hegseth, along with Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Caine, briefed members of Congress on the Pentagon's budget requirements for 2027, outlining the scale of resources needed to sustain military readiness and future operations. Lawmakers are now weighing whether to approve additional funding to support the administration's military strategy against Iran as debate intensifies over the scale, legality, and long-term implications of the conflict. Amid a broader diplomatic stalemate with Tehran, Hegseth's meeting with lawmakers has fueled fresh speculation about the trajectory of the Iran conflict, including whether tensions could escalate or transition into a renewed phase of confrontation. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Caine met lawmakers on April 27th, engaging with key members of Congress as part of ongoing consultations over defense priorities and military spending. Hegseth and Caine held closed-door talks with leaders from the House and Senate Armed Services and Appropriations Committee, reflecting the sensitivity and strategic importance of the discussions around defense funding. The discussions were centered around the proposed 2027 defense budget. This is according to CBS News, with a focus on outlining priorities and accessing future military requirements. The U.S. government's 2027 budget request represents a massive increase in spending compared to 2026 levels. This again was being reported by CBS News, signaling a significant expansion in defense allocations. Lawmakers also discussed the possibility of supplemental funding requirements linked directly to the ongoing Iran war, indicating that existing budget frameworks may not fully cover operational costs. However, Hegseth and Caine did not disclose any specific figures regarding supplemental funding needed for the Iran war, leaving Congress without a clear estimate of the financial scale involved. Senate Armed Services Committee Chair Roger Wicker said that the discussions also focused on follow-up measures related to defense bills that had already been enacted into law. The U.S. defense budget was projected at approximately $886 billion for fiscal year 2026, with an even higher outlay plan for 2027. This is according to data from the Department of Defense. The United States has previously relied on supplemental funding measures, including more than $113 billion approved for Ukraine since 2022, underscoring a pattern of financing wartime efforts outside base budgets. These defense talks took place amid rising operational costs in the Middle East, particularly those linked to the ongoing Iran conflict and expanded military engagement in the region. The Pentagon has been facing increasing pressure to simultaneously fund active military operations, maintain force readiness, and replenish weapons stockpiles depleted by sustained deployments. Lawmakers sought greater clarity on the total military spending required to sustain extended operations involving Iran, pressing defense officials for more detailed projections. The 2027 budget priorities are expected to include investments in missile defense systems, expanded naval deployments, and enhanced air power capabilities to address evolving threats. Last week, The Guardian reported that Donald Trump was considering increasing the Pentagon's budget to a colossal $1.5 trillion, a figure that would mark an unprecedented expansion. Trump's proposal would raise military spending by a record-breaking $445 billion, significantly surpassing previous defense budget increase in scale and ambition. Meanwhile, Iran submitted a fresh proposal to the United States after Trump cancelled planned talks, attempting to revive diplomatic engagement despite ongoing tensions. The new proposal included suggestions to lift the U.S. blockade and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, aiming to ease economic pressure and restore critical global shipping routes. However, Iran deferred discussions on its nuclear program to a later stage, a move that reportedly frustrated Trump, and this is according to Reuters. Trump has consistently maintained that a key objective of his strategy has been to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, framing it as central to US national security concerns. He has repeatedly stated that Iran cannot be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon under any circumstances, reinforcing a long-standing US policy position. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss the war as diplomatic efforts between Iran and the United States remained at a stalemate. Thanks for watching Hindustan Times.